We're going to solve the inequality. 3x plus 5 is greater than 2 times x minus 7. Please, 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 if you did not already, pause the video right now and go try this and see where your mistakes are. So 2 times x is 2x minus 14. 2 times the negative 7 is the negative 14. We're going to get our x's together. So minus 2x minus 2x. I always like to work, especially with inequalities, towards the positive for our x values. Because remember, that's the golden rule of inequalities, is that if we have to divide or multiply by a negative, and that would be attached to that x, then we're going to switch the sign. If we can avoid that, then we just keep on rocking and rolling the way it is. So x is going to be greater than a negative 19. And we subtracted 5 because that's the inverse of addition. Subtracted 2, again, the opposite of positive, to move it across, in this case, not the equal mark, but the inequality sign, the line of great divide. So x is greater than a negative 19. I just looked at it at the time, and we still have time. So we're going to do one more at least. So the nearest whole number, what is the average rate of change for the function f of x over the interval 0 and 15? We definitely already did this one, and the answer is B. So we're going to cross this one out for now, and the answer is B if I recall correctly. If you find out that's not a thing, send me a message, and I will show you how to do that one. The easiest way, and I know we had a conversation about the average rate of change. Absolutely made complete sense to the conversation. But if they call out 2, just go grab those 2 and find the slope between those. So solve for 0, solve for 15, and find the difference in those. And that's where you should get that 1893 as well. All right, we compared the zeros of 2x squared minus x minus 10 to the zeros in the function graph below. Our zeros in the graph below is negative 1 and negative 4. What is the value of the smallest zero of the two functions? So we can make a list. I'll say we have a 0 of negative 1, a 0 of negative 4 for the graph one. This guy, we're going to factor it, or at least try. If not, you can go straight to quadratic equation. If you like quadratic equation better, we're looking for the zeros, which are the solutions, x-intercepts, and roots. So that will work as well. There's not a GCF, so we're going to just go ahead and get after this guy, or at least try. We're going to put AX in the corner, AX. A times C, so 2 times a negative 10. And then I need a negative 1 in the basement because that's our B value. B goes in the basement. We're looking for the numbers that we multiplied together to get a negative 20 that will add or subtract to give us a negative 1. So we have 1 and 20. 2 and 10, 3 is no good. 4 and 5 looks good. The next number will be 5, so we've got our sets. 1 and 20, 21 or 19, not going to work. 2 and 10, 12 and 8, not going to work. 5 and 4 will work. We're going to put the biggest number. I always like to put in the front. B is negative, so I know that first number has the larger number of the two has to be negative, and then we're going to decide about the 4. If I owe you $5, but I want to only owe you 1, I am indeed going to add 4. Now, these are not fractions, but we're pretending. Can I reduce 2 over negative 5? No. So that means it is strictly 2x minus 5 is my first factor. 2 over 4, not fraction. We're pretending that's going to become a 1 and a 2 because it is divisible by 2. And we need to leave it as a top part and a bottom part in our diamond because we need a front and a back in our factor. These are the factors. I've said this a ton of times in live class and in boot camp. Factors. To get to the zeros, the roots, the x-intercepts, and solutions, we're going to take both of those and set them equal to zeros and solve. 2x minus 5 equals 0. X plus 2 equals 0. I'm going to move that 2 over. Subtract because it's the opposite of that positive. So we got a negative 2 to add to our list. And we're going to add 5. We're going to add 5 because that's the opposite of the subtraction of 5. And then divide by 2. And 5 divided by 2 is going to give me 2.5. And that's a positive 2.5. So we're going to add that to our list. Which one is the smallest? They gave you a long list of negative numbers. Smallest means it's the furthest away from 0 to the left. So we're going to go negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. So negative 4 is going to be our answer to that puppy. Yay. If you have any questions, again, call out to be zeros. The other words to be roots, solutions, x-intercepts. This is when something hit the ground. When does the profit come back to 0? All right. Number 50, the equation of the line J is 6x plus 5y equals 3. The equation of Q is 5x minus 6y equals 0. Which statement is true about the two lines? Line J and Q have the same y-intercept. They're parallel, which means same slope, same x-intercept. And that, just remember, we know that at the x-intercept, y equals 0. And then lines J and Q are perpendicular, which means opposite, reciprocal, opposite, and flip. They're both in standard form. To be able to answer those easily, especially without a calculator, you need to get y by itself. So I'm going to subtract 6x, and then I'm going to divide by 5, because that's the opposite of multiplication. So our first one is y equals a negative 6 over 5x plus 3 over 5. On our Q function, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to isolate y. We're going to subtract 5x, subtract 5x. So that's going to be negative 6y equals a negative 5x plus 0. The y-intercepts are definitely not the same because we have a 0 here. So that one's out. I'm going to divide by negative 6, divide by negative 6, divide by negative 6. 0 divided by anything is 0. If it was divided by 0, we have a problem. That means that there's not a solution. It blows up. We can't discuss it. It's over. So this is going to be y equals negative negative gives a positive 5 over 6x plus 0. So this would be our next equation. If I'm going to look at our slopes first, they're definitely not the same. So parallel is out. They are opposite and reciprocal. 5, 6 is compared to negative 6 over 5. They flipped, and one is positive and one is negative. Yay. X-intercepts, if I plug in a y and solved, that would be your x-intercept. So 0 equals 5 over 6x. Multiply 0 times 6, 0. Our x-intercept is also going to be 0 as well, because 6 times 0 is 0. And then divide that by 5, still 0. The x-intercept here is not 0. If I subtracted 3 over 5 over, multiply by 5, then divided by negative 6, it's definitely not going to give us 0. We have real numbers happening here. So C is a no-go. And I say real numbers, that's terrible because 0 is a number. We're going to go ahead and knock these out. Which expression is equivalent to x to the 6th power times x to the 2nd power? This is multiplication, so when we multiply, we add exponents. So 6 with like bases. If we multiply two terms with like bases, we add the exponents. So it's going to be x to the 8th power, or which one is equivalent? That means, so we're looking for x to the 8th power when I simplify. So 4, 5, 6, 7. This is going to be x to the 7th power. 5, 6, 7, 8. X to the 8th power. That one looks good. 7 plus 3 is going to give me x to the 10. And 9 plus 3 is going to give me x to the 12th. So it is definitely B, x to the 5th, x to the 3, gives us x to the 8th. Last but not least, pause it. Go try it. No calculator. Don't cheat. I'm going to move my big X to try to make it positive. So I'm going to add 3x. Add 3x. And that's going to give me 2. Plus 2x is less than 4. I'm going to subtract 2. Subtract 2. 2x is less than a positive 2. If I have 4 and I spent 2, I have a positive 2. Divide by 2 because it's the inverse of multiplication. That is a positive, so we're good to go. So x is less than 1. If we had moved it the other way, it would have still been exactly the same. We would have, in the event you chose to do it that way, add x, subtract 4. Subtract 4. See, negative 2 is less than a negative 2x. Divide by a negative. And that means we have to flip our sign. So x is less than a positive 1. Same thing, just flipped. So again, the exact same answer. They're just written in opposite. And it's because we divided by a negative that we flipped the sign. All right, guys. Great job at 52 questions. Love those of you showing up. Hopefully you're getting a lot more comfortable and no longer as nervous about the EOC. See you next boot camp.